story that must be told. Here's a little story that must be told.
Amazing.
Concentration.
Welcome to the Simply Youth Ministry podcast. This live recording is brought to you by Doug Fields, Josh Griffin, Natalie Johnson, and Matt McGill. This feast of the years has just enough youth ministry so you don't feel guilty for listening. Be warned, this podcast is not for the faint of heart or the mentally weak. Since that describes most of humanity, you may want to go ahead and turn it off right now.
Everybody.
Unbelievable start to the show.
There we go. Well, Matt, you set us up well.
The Wilderness Show right
This
there.
is
Wow.
Doug Fields and Matt McGill and Josh Griffin. And
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. Jake's not here. Natalie's not here. But we have Queen Jana Sarti. And Jana is sitting in today, and I'm very excited about that. Matt's very excited about it. Josh is very excited. We're all excited about it, but Jana.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Now, there's some hypocrisy going
There's
on in
lots
this
of
room. We
hypocrisy
probably need
happening
to
right
address
now.
that for our regular viewers. Let me just explain. Jana is one of the sharpest women I've ever worked with in my life. She's a great youth worker. She's been on our high school staff. She's been on the college staff. She's run the college ministry. She heads up all of purpose-driven youth ministry globally, international, worldwide. She's unbelievably talented, a mother of two, a wife. She's great. But she doesn't really like the podcast.
Yes.
No.
That's her
This is true.
one downfall.
Now, does she not like it, Jan? We've really never talked about it.
What has been your opinion on the podcast?
Because we're like at number, what is this, 48?
48. Yes.
Andy, why don't you check on that? See what number this is. All right.
So I've liked 1 out of 48.
You've liked one or you've
listened
to one?
to all of them?
All?
No, I haven't even listened to all
Still,
of them.
though, that's
What do I
almost
not like
2%.
about it? Well, when it first started, I felt like there was so many other things that we all, including you guys,
Oh,
should be
now it
doing.
comes out. Now it comes out. So it wasn't that
So
you
you
didn't like the
considered this
podcast.
To the party.
You thought this was a waste of time.
Yeah, it
yes.
wasn't that she
47.
didn't like the podcast. It was just she thought we had better things to do
So
with our time.
encouraging millions of youth workers isn't worthwhile to you?
Exactly.
Well, I'm
wow.
not sure that you're always encouraging.
And not
Well,
sure there's
maybe not to
millions
each
either.
other, but we aren't everyone else. They love it.
That's right. Well,
Oh,
Jana,
gosh.
welcome aboard, and
Yes.
thanks for sitting in. And what people won't need to know is that as long as Matt and I go back, you and Matt also go back. You and Matt went to high school together.
Yes.
Yes.
Jana was too spiritual to be involved in our youth ministry when you were a
Yes.
teenager,
Yeah,
right?
she was
went,
involved in-
Didn't you
I
go
was
to like?
a Christian, right?
Yeah.
No, you were like a Christian soldier.
Yes.
Yeah, like one of those Pharisees.
In God's army.
God's
Yeah.
Army. That was
Yeah.
the name
There
of
you
it.
go.
Was that the name of that youth group?
No, but something
Oh.
along those lines.
Yeah, they
That's
all wore
awesome.
camouflage to youth group.
Yeah.
That's right.
But Jana, you will. I don't know if you will appreciate how famous Matt is on this podcast, but Matt is global. I have an email here from Marcis from Ireland. I don't think he or she is. They do English very well because I don't want to read this because if I read it, it would sound like I'm making fun of them. But it's very broken English. But it's very clear that she says Matt is the best. Other, you are good.
The others are good.
Other.
You understand.
Thank
And
you
then
for
she
that.
goes on to talk about being in youth ministry 5 years. She's working at a pizza place, which is Pika, I guess. Anyway, in Ireland, Matt is the best.
That's so nice. I would like to know,
Wow.
do the youth workers in Ireland drink lots of scotch? Like, do you do that? Is that part of your country's origin? That's just a cultural thing.
Scotch?
Scotch or whiskey or
Wouldn't it be
which-
just beer in
I don't know. I
Ireland?
would think it would be beer.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, we've got our German friend
We-
here.
Why
We do.
whiskey?
We
Now.
haven't introduced
Special
Zoran.
guest in the
Zoran.
studio.
Scotch
Zoran.
whiskey.
Zoran, say hi. Wave to everybody. Let everybody see your face there.
Zoran on the there he is.
Yeah, all right.
Zoran is runs
There he is.
Simply Youth Ministry in Germany, and he has translated several of our materials.
Simply Deutschland.
and when we did our show last year from Germany, remember at the castle,
I do remember the castle.
Zoran was the
Special.
one that made it all happen.
He did.
He got us
Special
out
man.
there in the whole bit.
Now, how come we didn't have Zern on the podcast? We just had Hollywood.
That was probably an oversight.
That probably
Well,
was.
Because
no,
Zoran's the
because I
man.
think what we were doing is we thought, okay, is Zoran most like Josh, or is
Or-
Hollywood more like Josh? And it was Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood's
Zern was
definitely
probably
a lot
working
more-
hard because he's
Yeah.
a hard worker.
He is
He
a hard
is,
worker.
yeah.
And our German, Andy, why don't you find out what edition Germany was, and we can say.
Yeah.
What are we, 47? We're 47
Yeah.
now?
47.
Because
I
we
think
have
that was
big
like
special
7.
plans for episode 50.
Look out!
Huge plans.
Do not miss it. Jana will not be here.
So,
Or you
Jana,
will be
what
here.
what should you be
She
doing
will
right
not be
now if
here.
you're not doing the podcast?
Yeah.
Balancing a budget or sending some important emails
Oh,
or
Reaching the young
That's
people.
important. That's good.
making sure my team's doing well, taken care of.
That's good. I thought
I think
Josh
that
was
Josh
there
is
to
my
help
team.
That can
That
wait
can-
until
That's right.
9:30. That can
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
You're fine.
All right, this is from Dan Pratt from Statesboro, Georgia. He said, The Failure Show. Money. Hands down the best
Yeah,
podcast
I
to
agree.
date. More youth ministry content in one show than I thought possible. Good prep.
Oh,
good
good.
prep.
Good prep. Thank you.
Yeah, the one we actually thought about ahead of time. Good honesty, some painfully hilarious moments. Jana,
That was fun. It was a good show.
Gosh.
your best failure in ministry.
My best failure.
Or
Do you
your
want to
worst-
think about it a
or
little
your
bit?
worst
That's
Or
failure.
your worst failure?
Yeah, my worst failure.
Yeah.
Probably
Do you want a little time?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
we'll go.
actually,
Time.
didn't we do 5 on the show?
Your friendship
So-
to me can't count as that.
yeah.
What about some of our fights?
Those were the early years.
Yeah, but those might count as some.
Some bad. Those were.
All right,
the
think
worst
about it,
failures.
Jana, because I want to get to that.
Is anybody's my phalanges are about to fall off? They're so cold.
It's freezing.
Oh,
I'm
well,
never cold.
There's 7
I know, that's
people in
true.
this room.
That's
so,
So
Or 8.
we should huddle together.
so we need to keep it cold in here because after an hour of the podcast, hot air, you're gonna be sweating in here.
Normally, I'd agree with you, but I'm,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, my
normally for
fingers.
Matt to be cold, that may be a
I'm
first,
never
and I'm
cold.
actually
Wow.
semi-decent, but I have thermals on underneath.
Isn't that a wind current?
I don't know.
Owls fly on.
Paul Turner from
Hang gliders.
Hueytown, Alabama, he wrote some things. He appreciated the failure show as well. He says there are a
Oh.
few books out on body language, and he says, and I studied everybody on the podcast. How accurate
this
is
is
it?
going to be great.
Oh, here we
Doug,
go.
hands behind head, confidence and superiority.
This book is like amazing.
At least one of those two.
So what do? You sit like this?
A lot
Exactly.
of times. A lot of times.
Maybe
I
it's
am
because the
confident and
camera allows you to
superior.
lean back.
Yeah, like right now.
That may be.
I just
Everybody else,
disappeared.
I'd like to be confident.
Wouldn't
Well,
that
I'm
be-
always feeling confident and superior.
But you could be superior.
All right, Matt, head in hands,
Yeah.
bored.
this?
Yeah.
Bored.
Yep.
Josh, rubbing hands, anticipation.
Ooh,
Oh,
I like
gosh,
it.
This is the dumbest book I've
I
ever
don't
seen
know.
in my life.
I think that.
I-
Well, I don't know
Fairly-
about the board,
yeah,
but the
so-
anticipation is really.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
Something
Yeah.
might be shiny.
What's next? What's next?
Oh,
Matt's
good thing
fingers
this
are
is being
freezing.
recorded.
Jake, tapping and drumming of fingers, impatience.
Oh.
How about he's into music?
I don't know.
He's always got something going.
And there was no Natalie. And now, well, let's read Jana's body language right now.
Scared, intimidated.
Bored out of her mind.
Matching the
Thinking,
chairs.
what the heck?
Why did I say yes to this?
I should be doing
Oh, her
something
boss
else.
asked her.
Hey, this is, you know what, Josh? This
Yeah.
is, last week, Jason Carson was in picking up
yeah,
some stuff, and
yeah.
he sat in
He
on
was
the
a
show,
cool guy.
and he was great. We had a bunch of emails saying, appreciated Jason. This guy, Jay Beerley, writes from Wake Village, Texas, said, years ago when the Supertones were in concert, between the opening bands, they invited youth ministers to come backstage, and Carson took some time to just encourage us and talk about how important he thought student ministry was. It was an amazing blessing. I was bummed when he quit playing, but it thrills me that he's making kingdom impact. And I
That's
thought,
cool.
we need to forward that
We
too.
need to
That
show
is
Can you do that?
I will do that.
Forward that to Jason.
that
That
on.
Do
was
the
awesome.
Supertones still tour?
They ended as a band in 2005.
Okay.
They're done.
So they probably
I wonder
were
if he
done
still
in
gets
2000 then.
royalties.
I'm sure he does.
Sure.
Were you checking that, Andy?
Hey, buy one on iTunes really quick, and then email Jason and ask him to get it.
Hey,
Hey,
what was-
Did
what
you
was
get a
our
penny?
Germany? What was our Germany edition for those that have caught up late? 15.
Wow, those were the early days,
Those
huh?
were the-
Back
we're
when the
almost
show
on
was
50,
terrible.
and first time I'm ever looking into the camera. Don't miss 50.
Well, you looked into the camera when Zurin turned around.
I think you look into the camera more than you think.
I don't think so.
I'd like to put a bet on it.
Okay. I'd be
What
happy
is
to.
more than you think, though? You don't know that
Well,
number.
see, I just won. You've done it twice this show already.
Josh Decker, he says, I was from Highland, Michigan. I was listening to episode 46 where you were discussing discipline. This is a lesson I just learned on our retreat with junior high students. The lesson was this: I would rather be the heavy, knowing that I may not always be in a position I am at my church, than to make one of my volunteers assume the responsibility when they're the ones who will be there, God forbidding, when I leave.
Well, Matt and I are always the heavy, so
Speak for yourself. No, just kidding.
You are.
I'm
Matt
very
has
heavy.
lost some weight.
Are you wearing black, and that's why I'm deceived, or are you bringing it down?
I've got vertical lines. That's what makes me look fat. That's right.
Man, you've
Seriously,
lost some weight,
you
haven't
definitely.
I've,
I'm not
I've
kidding.
lost some weight. I'd still say I'm not. Well, I'm still have a lot more to lose and more of the mental attitude to gain.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit over the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Congratulations.
tell.
Hey, let's talk about discipline just for a second. Jana, you ready to chime in
Sure.
on this? We get a lot of.
Favorite.
Janet, just treat this like real life, where you're always ready to chime in.
Interrupter.
I was going
Ready
to
to go.
say this one between you two could be very fun.
This issue.
Well, just both you and Jana always having opinions and ready to.
That's true.
Ready to strike with them. And,
But you realize that we haven't really fought for like years.
yeah, no. I didn't say fighting. I just said
At least
opinions.
unhealthily, huh?
Unhealthily?
I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know.
New
Like
words
we
with
have
Jana
conflict,
Sarti.
but it's healthy now.
Yeah, this.
It was healthy. 'cause
One
I
of the
was
things
right.
I was thinking back to the question we talked about discipline, and here's 3 things I just jotted down when it comes to discipline in youth ministry. I think when you have a team, volunteers, whether it's led by a volunteer or led by a youth pastor, the idea in discipline is everybody knows kind of the quote unquote the rules, and so we stack hands. We say we're on this team, and it doesn't always have to go to the point person. So if we're at a camp.
Yeah.
And somebody's doing something dumb and a volunteer sees that, they don't need to run back to Doug and report it. They just take care of that because we
They're a
all
leader.
are involved in discipline.
Yeah.
And one of the most divisive things a volunteer can do is not help in discipline.
Right.
And then, hey, look, I would let you do that, or, but Doug doesn't really, he doesn't want us to. Well, that
Yeah.
I've got to go tell on you.
yeah, that
Which is a
becomes
temptation,
divisive.
especially for the new youth worker that wants to like earn all this trust
Well,
by being the cool one.
Yeah, and they
It's
want to be
totally
liked.
awesome if you burn that cat, but Doug will be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I think there are times when if you are a volunteer or you're maybe a newbie and you need a situation where you need some help, then,
Yeah.
grab chief.
Yeah, if it warrants it. I mean, if it's a big deal, you probably need to at least report it or say something up top. But take care of it. That's
Yeah.
good advice.
But we always try and rally our leaders and say, here's the expectations, and we're empowering you to
Yep.
be our eyes and ears too.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I think a key phrase for people who are listening that are leaders of leaders, I think anytime you go away or you have your team together, we give the title away. You're the youth pastor at this church, okay? I may be paid to be the youth pastor, but you're the youth pastor of this church, and you see something going on that's not right, or when we spread out into groups, or we go on to an amusement park, whatever we do, act as the youth pastor. And I think you involve everybody. That doesn't have to be one person that is known as the heavy. That we're all on the same team, and that's part of teamwork.
So it's not like a good cop, bad cop thing. You're saying everybody should have a little bit of that in everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not the exception, but that's a general rule. And
Right.
then when there's someone who's a total moron, if it's a really bad situation, then yeah, don't make a volunteer have to deal with that.
Right. Bring that up
Yeah.
top, like Josh had suggested.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And one
do
year
well.
with Mexico, we had, as we were coming over the border, one volunteer in their van. Every kid bought stuff that they weren't supposed to buy, like fireworks and something else. And then someone had some knives and ninja stars, and then a bong. A kid actually bought like a little pipe I don't know, bong pipe
What is
thing.
a bong, Matt? I don't know.
Well, you put a little marijuana on top and you smoke
Why
wire
would
or
Ninja
something.
Stars not be allowed? I don't understand.
And so, like that was an issue that was beyond a volunteer to deal with. As far as, I mean, he said, once it was in the car and he heard the kids talking about it, he said, hey, you guys know you're not supposed to have that. I mean, he said something. But then at that point, that wasn't something where I really needed to step in. And I did. And it was fun. Just going to leave it right there. It's a long story. We're at the gas station. This girl is super defiant. Her mom made her go to the church trip, and she's yelling and cussing, and I mean every cuss word imaginable. And I really don't care. I mean, it doesn't. It's the way my wife treats me. And no, just kidding.
Everybody does.
Yeah, that's the way Josh talks to me. No, but she is just so angry and wouldn't search her bag or anything like that, and it was the end of a long week. I had this headache. I thought I was going to die. And somehow the Lord literally covered me because I did not say anything to her. Like, normally I would just be like, are you kidding me? That, I just would have unloaded. But, yeah. That's a nice short story there. For
No,
the
it's
podcast.
great. I think the big thing with discipline is, we got to be on the same team. You can't have discipleship without discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do, but leaders need to require other leaders to stack hands and do it together, not always wait for the main person to do it.
Yep.
That comes from years of frustration when you go, now why didn't you take care of that? Why do I have to step in and be the heavy on this one? That would have been easy for you to do.
Yeah.
Chris Watson from Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock.
He actually, Matt, nice props for your book. He says, thanks to all the SYM stuff, blah, blah, blah. You helped me for the years. I recently purchased small groups from start to finish, and it's been fantastic.
Excellent. Thank you.
Here's his question. Jana, right up your alley. Because Jana oversees all the interns at Saddleback, not only the youth ministry interns, but all of the interns. He says, I have a college student in my ministry who wants to do an internship with me. I was his youth pastor for 4 years at the church that I previously served. He moved to Lubbock the same time I did to go to Texas Tech and has been serving as a volunteer in both middle school and high school. My relationship with him is much like yours with McGill.
What?
Ah.
Oh, I thought the email was to Jana. I'm like, how do they know that? Oh, gosh. I'm an idiot. Okay, yeah.
I have never had an
Self-realization
intern, nor ever been one, so I was wondering if you had some advice or tips on developing an internship, especially one with a student that I've been pretty close to for several years. I welcome any thoughts you might have. Ladies and gentlemen, Jana Sarti.
Well,
we go.
I mean, for somebody that is familiar with you and comfortable with you, I think just have him be your right-hand man for a while. Let him shadow you and let him do things that you're already doing. And
Can you say right-hand person?
Yeah. Can you say he or she from now on?
Yeah.
yeah.
We try to
We're-
be gender.
we're
But it's
gender
a he.
inclusive.
I'm addressing the email. And
Although
it's
I do
I
appreciate
thought you were
the
talking
pink
in
that you
general.
brought.
I'm sorry.
Did you notice how Jana's shirt matches
Can you see me?
the
Can you see me?
chairs?
Where did Jana go,
Right now?
everybody?
She's like,
I am the female. I color coordinate.
It's female
with everything.
camouflage.
That's
I
right.
disappear into the chair.
Okay, speaking
Josh
of,
must be the female, too, because his shirt matches the
Very
chair.
in touch with my
And the
feminine
pink.
side.
So
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of camouflage, do you know
I'm
that this
camouflaged.
weekend I got a brand new shirt? I was speaking this weekend in
Oh,
Big
it's a
Church.
cool
I
shirt.
got a brand new shirt, and a lady in our church came up and told me I can't wear it. I know it's a pride
What?
thing. I
Why?
know it's
Wait,
a
she
pride
said
thing.
you can't wear that.
It's
shirt.
it was. The
Did
one,
it say welcome to Effingham on it?
That was last week, Janet.
I heard that.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
I
You
did.
listened
I
in
did.
preparation
To prep
for
for
this?
this one?
Actually, if I'm really honest,
Uh-huh.
Lee was listening, and I just happened to be walking
Lee is
upstairs.
her husband,
So
okay.
Yes.
Thank goodness for
Her
Lee.
husband.
Anyway, I
or
guess there was a
minister.
black backdrop, and I was wearing a black shirt, and she said it looked like I had a just a bouncing head, and it just triggered the pride in me of somebody telling me what I can and can't wear, and I just
Did you slap her?
no.
Did you discipline her?
No, I was Mr. Nice Guy, and I wore
No.
a black
Paul,
shirt the next day which
Mr.
had some
Nice Guy.
stripes. She says,
Unbelievable.
that's better. It's not much better. I was like,
Oh, my gosh. Well, should we tell people that your thoughts about me before you accepted me as an intern? How you thought I was going to be like on the scale? You said, McGill, you're really fun. You told me this a couple years later, of course. But on a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to doing ministry, I thought you were going to be a 3. Do you remember that?
I don't really remember that. I'm sorry I said that.
No, it's totally great. I think
He
it's
remembers it like it was yesterday.
no,
You-
because
here's what I do remember.
You used it as an affirmation. Let me finish what I was going to say.
All right.
Is because you said I thought you were going to be about a 3, and you're really like an 11. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you said I was 11. That's really nice. You
should
know, and
apologize
so
for that too.
yeah, because it's really like a 7.
No, here's what I remember. I remember the first year of the internship, me being blown away that Matt was so good.
But it was like an informal internship.
Oh, it wasn't
Come
an internship. Yeah,
It was
Yeah,
more
but I mean, it was come
Yeah.
alongside, work with me,
Yeah.
Shadow
Let's get
what I'm
back to his
doing.
question. Okay. Sorry.
shadow what
Yeah.
I'm doing,
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, anything. There was things that I was good at that I, like if I wrote curriculum or something like that, and you just let me go, and I did it on my own, or create a database. I did that. That was fun. But things that I was totally weak at, like cold calls. You're like, hey, you got to call these 20 students, and I'm like, I freak out. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, you got to call these students. And I go, I start having conniptions, and I'm shaking. And he's like, here, let me show you how to do it. And so you sat down and called through 10 students,
And
real
did most
quick.
of the work for you.
Modeled it, really. Did half my list. And so after that, he called through 10 in about 13 minutes. So then I go and I do mine. I make one call, and then I got to pace around the office for like 5 minutes before I do the next one. 'Cause
You
I
had
was
to
so
debrief
like,
and make a chart.
yeah, I had to think about
He
it
made
and
a
wonder what I
database
said.
of the list really quick.
And so, but it was just one of those things where, whether it was intentional or intuitive, it doesn't really matter. You did the same results. Is that things that I was strong at, you let me go and you let me do, and feedback later. But things that I couldn't do, you took a moment to say, hey, here's how you do this. And I think that's important when you bring this guy on. Even though you like him a lot, there's going to be some things he's good at, and some things he's not, and you just have to work with that.
Yeah. Well, the comfort level is, working with an intern that you have no idea who that person is. It takes a couple months just to get comfortable,
Right.
As
Both
opposed
ways,
to
for them to
somebody.
get comfortable with
yeah,
you and-
absolutely. But
yeah.
somebody who you've known for several years, that's the ideal internship. Okay,
Well,
keep going,
and
Jana. What else?
our style too. In that case, being that you guys are such good friends, our style is so much more relational and life on life and doing it together rather than a formal setting of here's your curriculum of being an intern and following that. So I think that I think us sitting around this table would say, really, that's how we've learned to do youth ministry is.
Matt,
I've
just put
just-
on a jacket.
I've lost so much
weight.
weight that I'm just so thin. I get
You're
cold.
just so
now.
Get
fragile
chills.
in this cold weather.
I barely even wear jackets, as you can tell by how crumpled this is.
You get
Freezing
that out of your
right now.
trunk.
Yeah, that's where I keep my junk. Rhymes with trunk.
You're a hunk.
Thank you. Punk.
Second time we.
You guys want to keep going?
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
kind of
know
in
anything
emotional
else that
funk right
rhymes.
now. Go, your turn.
I don't have anything.
I could because I was going to go back and have to
Oh, come
debunk
on, you
it.
guys.
That's
All
right.
right, sorry. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
No,
That
it's
bit
funny.
was
I
a
said,
slam
come on, you guys,
dunk.
because I was going to do the debunk,
Stole the
and you
debunk.
stole it.
You do look at the camera a lot.
I
Oh, he
enjoy
totally
it.
does.
He's a man of the
I enjoy
people.
it. People, there are a few people that watch the video podcast that it's like
Don't you
they're our
think?
friends. They're sitting
You're-
at the table with
hey,
us,
how you doing?
and now I have to look over Jana. So,
Oh yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
so tall.
well,
Well, I think they will.
Yeah.
They will appreciate the back of Jana's head. That's all right, Jenny. You don't have.
I'll just look out the
No,
window.
you know what?
Can
Next
you-
time we're
good
just gonna
profile?
sit you right here
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you are so relational that you're making eye contact with us.
yeah. Which
Well, that seems more natural
I know.
than like.
let's
yeah,
put the
okay.
camera like right here. Next
Anything
time.
else for Chris in terms of the internship?
I would say, at one, go relational, go personal. Don't worry about curriculum, formal.
Don't treat him like a student.
Yeah, and the other thing that you were really great at is we don't treat our interns like interns.
Yeah.
We treat
Yeah.
our interns like staff, and we treat, they have full responsibility, and there's no label on them that says intern. We don't have a name tag that says intern. They are part of our team and part of our staff, and I think that empowers them to own things and to get involved and take initiative. And
Yeah. Now,
That's
I've
a
treated
huge-
some of our staff like interns because sometimes our staff. Is
Well, you
being
know what?
retarded.
That comes from just me. I did an internship in Northern
1703.
California for just a summer, and the guy that was my direct report was wonderful, but the people over him would everything. Can't you get your intern to do it? Can you get your intern to do it? And it wasn't that I didn't want to serve. It was just this demeaning, get your intern to do it. So I took that demeaning and said, we're not going to treat ours like that. But I also see our volunteers at Saddleback who have been around forever, you know, like a Tom and Marla Christian. You know, they've been volunteers for 10 years, and they could go be star youth workers in any church in the country. I don't want those interns to ever feel like they are over our volunteers just because they're giving more time. So it is the kind of the both end. You don't want to treat them like an intern, but you also don't want to set them up to where thinking they, you know, they know more or can do more than.
Should we go real practical on this for a second too, though, and just talk about how often do you meet with your intern? What kind of evaluations do you do, and how long is the internship?
No.
No. Okay. Great. Next question. I mean, because there's some things that we do that I think might be
all on the
valuable.
Well, our internship also is a little more formal.
Sure,
I mean, you've got to
sure.
apply.
At this point, for sure, because we're also, 7 years down the road. I mean, so, and it just got to a place where we had to have some type of control and gatekeeping, and,
Absolutely.
so that was a little bit different than his situation.
And if anybody was interested in a 2-year internship at Saddleback.
If you're interested in a 2-year internship at Saddleback Church,
What would
please
they
log
do?
on to www.saddleback.com/internships. Did
right.
you like my radio voice?
That was good.
I think it's
Right there.
SaddlebackFamily.com.
No. Why would?
It's both.
Yeah. Why
It's-
would it be Saddleback Family?
That's the well, there is a
Web
Saddleback
guy.
family.
I know,
website.
but I'm saying because they're not part of our family yet.
But you want them to be part of our. We don't want to treat them like.
No, but that's
It's
the outside
Saddleback.
Andy, could you go there?
Saddleback.com.
Yes, it is. Saddleback.com/internships. Bring it here.
Oh wow.
Oh, man.
So-
Well, here's one more thing
So
I
how
would
do-
say. I'd have them reading something, too, if it was have them reading maybe something to discuss.
like purpose-driven youth ministry.
Your
First
first
2
2
years.
years.
First 2 years. What matters
What
most?
matters most.
Actually, what matters most is probably more. It's probably better for someone that's been doing it for a little bit, a couple months.
If it's
Yeah.
interns, we're a big trouble. I mean, if it's family.
Look at
Oh gosh! See what you
Oh,
could be
wait.
taken care of if you weren't on this podcast.
I know.
Or you could do
You might
both
not even
if
have found
anything.
out.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have known.
No,
too.
I can't be family. But
Can
I
you
don't
ring
know
the
why
bell
it's not
once,
family.
please? Thank you, Natalie.
What's that for? We've talked about this too.
All right.
What's that for? You should.
No.
Okay, Jana, while you go ahead and do some intern work, let's go to the next question.
Yeah, maximizing your
listening.
time.
Last couple weeks we've been talking about. I have a total head cold.
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
And I apologize because every time I want to go, I know it's going to be gross
I'm putting my fingers inside my
on an
jacket
iPod.
like
Hey,
a Sith Lord. Yes,
I ran almost 17 miles on Saturday.
Oh,
that is so
Why?
awesome. Because
And
she's
how
gonna do a
long?
Was there a
marathon.
bear chasing you, or what? Otherwise, there's no
fire.
reason.
Him
How
and-
long? 17 miles from the fire. That's really
Him and
far.
Brazel are gonna do a
Big fire.
do a
It was
marathon.
marathon, yeah.
I think that's
What was your
awesome.
time? 17 miles in.
Jana, does it
2
matter what
hours.
I just
time?
am interested.
Hour
Why?
58.
How long?
How
How
long-
long?
You can be proud of your time.
I ran
Oh.
for 2 hours and
Brazel
45
says
minutes.
you could be proud.
Wow,
So
that's impressive.
I can't even eat for that long.
the old Matt could, but not this.
Yeah,
man.
not the slim
Nah.
man.
Oh.
Not the cold, chilly. weak man.
Golly, I don't know what's
So
happening.
frail. I've got a
You know, this is
goosebump.
what happened to me on Saturday.
You got cold?
Oh my gosh, I had 104 fever.
Jam
I mean, I'm
stepped
proud
on
of
a
you.
starfish
she
or
stepped
something
on a,
like that.
yeah, like a stingray got her, and now you got a
At
fever.
the lake.
See
At
what
the
happens
lake.
when you go out and do
Really?
things?
I know.
Should
I should
just
stay in
stay
my
home.
house
Stay in and
in the
just
dark
relax.
Oh.
by myself.
All right,
That's
this is a
right.
question. It's actually not a question. Tim Harwell from
let's-
First Baptist Church,
Let's forget it then.
Peshtigo, Wisconsin.
Peshtigo.
We've been just talking about tracking time, and I think Josh said he even talked to somebody who tracked conversations and the details of the conversations.
Yeah.
that
And I was saying I just go back into my Outlook and I write down what I did and who I was with and
Fill in
stuff
the
like
gaps,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
not tracking the conversations. And he wrote, and this was interesting. I'm not, I'm not endorsing this or denying. I'm just going, this was interesting to me. I'm a licensed professional counselor
no.
and a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I would advise all youth pastors to be very selective in the conversations that you document in terms of content, like what you talked about, due to the fact that you were producing a legal document. I was advised in this manner by my clinical supervisor during my counseling internship. Producing a legal document puts the youth pastor in a position to have to take special care of the document because of liability issues. What if someone reads it and
I
shouldn't?
bet this
Statute of
guy's wrong.
limitation. You bet he's wrong?
So scrap paper
I
is
bet
a
he's
legal
not wrong.
document?
No, I think it's true for him as a counselor in a confidential situation, keeping track of those things. But a youth pastor, while they have to report stuff they hear, that doesn't make it the same. I
Well,
bet
there's
you the guy's wrong.
confidentiality issues related to pastor to...
Yeah, licensed
And
minister.
you're still in
Parishioner.
professional capacity. I bet that to
Not,
some degree that's
not
true.
legally. There's no legal
But-
confidentiality stuff.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we all claim ignorance
Oh,
on
I-
this, and let's have somebody clarify
Research
it
it?
for us.
Or
And
Hazel?
we'll put it on a link.
You know who should look this up is Jack.
All right. you
Don't
tell
write
him.
anything
I think
down.
it's smart to though be careful of what you're writing down
I
though,
agree.
because
Yeah.
there is a confidentiality, especially most
Yeah,
youth-
morally, or yeah.
and most youth workers' desks are a little bit chaotic
Right.
at
Somebody
times.
walks in,
They're
sees
seasons,
something really
yeah.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
so
be
I
an
think-
intern if your desk is messy, because Jana will get on your case.
I said there's seasons of chaos.
Yeah, that's true. Seasons in the abyss.
Corey Miller had a great story, Fellowship Community Church, Liberty, South Carolina. He says, I was sitting in my office enjoying another thrilling episode of the podcast when the strangest thing happened. Our
Thrilling.
children's minister stepped in my office to ask me a question. Right as she stepped into the office, Doug shouts, "Take the damn thing."
That's perfect.
Now, for those of you who are listening, we were talking about... Was that
oh,
the-
Mike Mitchell
We
story.
were
was a
talking
quote.
about
Yeah.
it was a quote that a kid said when he was trying to give. Jana's shivering. Her lips
It
are
is so
shivering just
cold.
now.
I
Yeah.
am like going
Andy,
like this, and
would
this
you
isn't
mind
body
fixing that?
language. This is
Do you
just
mind?
freezing.
Unbelievable.
Andy's in his parka. He's in his Patagonia, whatever it's called.
Some
Thermal.
mountain bike.
So she walks into the office right when I give that quote that the kid said when he was trying to hand the bulletin, take the
Take
damn
the
thing,
damn
followed
thing.
by Matt repeating it in a much
Like
softer
you
tone.
just now did.
Our children's minister gave me one of those looks like your mom gives you when you fart in public. Okay. I
Jana
tried
could
to
give us one of those looks.
I tried to
Mom never
convince
did
her
that.
that it
All the
was
time.
youth ministry training, but she was never convinced. Don't get me wrong, it was funny. I'm still laughing about it, but I guess I have to wear headphones for now on. Keep up the good work.
I
Yeah,
think
or
you
maybe
always have to
tell
wear
us.
I was
headphones
just
when you
gonna
listen to
say
our
it took
show.
him 47 episodes to figure out he should wear headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you should
nothing on
tell
this one. I
damn it
just
to
circled
that
this
children's
because I
ministry.
love the fact that we have some Catholic friends listening, and that was Rod Kastner at St. Christopher
Hi,
Catholic
Rod.
Church.
I do love Catholic friends.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was.
Everybody needs one.
We don't really get many questions from.
Well, what was the question?
It wasn't a question. It was
Wait.
just a. You guys are wonderful. We love the
Oh,
podcast.
that's cool. And I love the Pope.
I just feel like I need to cross myself in this moment.
There is a. We're now experiencing a first. Now I need to
Yes.
set this
Up
up.
first.
A first.
I love it
All
first.
right,
Other than
47
Janet,
shows in.
my hand is stuck.
Oh god.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
here's the first.
Here we go.
Now, I have a series of, I don't know, maybe 20 youth ministry bits that I do, that I've done since Matt, that I've done for probably 20 to 25 years.
Since Matt was born.
You
Yeah.
usually add one bit a year.
Just
No,
just
no, yeah.
different bits. Like, Matt, give me an example. I can't even think of a bit.
Oh god, I saw.
Well, like
gosh,
it- like
the
it
finger
me-
one was one where you shook the girl's hand. Oh, that's
No,
a
no, I
not-
don't mean a
story.
bit. I mean like a youth ministry thing where
Take
like
Oh,
a-
a,
put a finger
Take-
inside someone's hamburger, or you show the flashlight in their eyes and drop it on their area down below.
or like it, you know,
Um,
when I would have a big one of these and one of our vans would be going out to a village in Mexico.
You'd spit on the window.
Spit on the windshield, or you know what?
Cookies in the teeth.
Oreo cookies
Yes,
in the
Do I have
teeth.
anything in my
classic
Do I have
fields.
any in my teeth? Whatever, just dumb youth ministry bits.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has
Hey, it's
wounded
Kind of
It's made
funny to
quite an
hear you
impact.
say dumb youth ministry
Well, they're just-
because you get this look on your face every time you do them. Like, they're kind of like pride moments, you know.
Well,
They are great. They're timeless.
they're just, you know, that's the legacy of Fields or something like that. But what has bothered me
And quite a legacy. it
over
is.
yeah, that's about the only legacy.
That's
It
not
bothered
bad.
me over a little bit of time is that when Matt would then
Oh,
steal
this
the
is the
bits
best.
and do them with kids. So, you know, Matt would do whatever, food in the teeth. Do I have anything in my teeth?
Yeah.
And then I come along to this same group, you know,
Oh.
and do
2
it.
days later.
And do, you know, hey, I got anything? They're like, oh, you got that from Matt. So,
Stolen bits.
yeah,
with
so I've
Matt
been
McGill.
getting that from
yeah,
Miguel.
for years. It's great.
Here we go. This is Brandon from College Church of the Nazarene. Just one simple thing. I think that Doug's comment on the last episode after Natalie ran to the bathroom was priceless. one of the better dry comments I've heard throughout the entire life of the show. She gets up and leaves, and Doug says, she's mentally weak.
That is
Stolen
That is-
bit for the first time, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
That's great.
That is a
Because
first.
that is a Matt McGill trademark,
That is.
mentally weak.
It is.
And that's not really so much a bit as it is just the truth.
yeah. But just the fact that I got,
Yeah.
you know.
That is beautiful.
We start every
Okay,
show.
can I speak
with
to that though for a minute as
No.
a female who's followed in your footsteps of youth ministry? Because you do steal each other's bits on occasion, and even other men. And it's just, like, as a female, it's been a funny journey behind you guys, kind of I don't want to steal the same bits, but that's been a hard, like, you watch male youth workers do bits, and you think,
Yeah. Well, but
Who
part
am
of
I?
it though is that you're not really funny.
well, that is true. That is
Jana?
part of it.
I second that. You know I'm your greatest defender.
I know
but-
that is part of it, though.
That's
so
true.
What I was going to say is learning to be true to yourself, though,
That's
and
true.
that I don't need to add humor because I can add wisdom.
Oh, God.
Someone just drove off the road.
Yeah.
Somebody's ears just exploded.
Someone's ears are bleeding right
no,
now.
no, just kidding.
Oh.
That
No,
was
but I
all a
mean, I
bit.
think
a lost
that
reference
going
right
in
there.
the whole following relational youth ministry, watching from
Totally.
behind.
Well, and there's always been a couple leaders, like usually younger leaders, that try and do some of the things you do or some of the things I do. It just doesn't work. Guy, girl, doesn't
Right.
matter, you know. And it's
Right.
just funny. I mean,
being mean in Mexico.
yeah, like Jared Moyne, you know, who I love dearly, and I kill him on this stuff all the time. But he just does things kind of like I do or like you do. Probably more like me usually when it comes to being mean, and it just doesn't work for him.
Yeah.
You know, because I do it and people cry and then laugh. He does
Yeah.
it. People will cry and stay crying.
Yeah. Well, but think about you lead like you've been led.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
teach like you've been taught. And
Oh, I
so
wish that was true for me.
and so you know, those were his models, and so
Yeah.
you know, he's experimenting. He'll find his voice. Yeah.
But for all you female youth workers out there,
Don't even try being funny. Is that
no,
what you're
no,
gonna
no,
say?
no.
Just
But when
give
you
wisdom.
lead like you've been led and you teach
Oh, yeah.
like you've been taught, then
still have to do
you
your
still
own
But
have
if
to
it
be
fits
true
your
to yourself.
personality,
Yeah.
Be true to yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if the bit fits your personality, let's take Tori Fields.
Tori Fields could pull some stuff off.
Tori Fields has got a junior high C group.
Yes.
And they had a sleepover at our house the other night, and she was
Just rocking
the
the house.
master at, you know,
Comedy.
fun and getting them to do different things, and you know, but that's her, you know, personality. She's way funnier. than
Did you
me.
think I was ringing the bell?
No, no, but you know what? Here's what I did say to Jana. I sent Jana my sermon, and
This
and
is great.
she has, like, I really believe Jana has some of the best insight and wisdom of anybody in this room.
It's because we're friendship to me.
It's because she's not funny.
Well,
You have to work on humor. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't sit around and think about funny
I
things.
can't make up jokes, so... Yeah.
Let's just look at
well,
God's word.
I called her after I read her comments on my message. I said, Jana, these are great. Way to go. Brilliant. I said, I just got to let you know, I don't count on you for humor.
I'm
But
releasing
you
from
say that to me though
responsibility.
too.
Well,
because
you know what? Let's be fun. Let's be funny. Let's be let's be
That's
honest.
the problem.
Okay,
Let's be honest. In those kind of settings, you're not when you're thinking about a Bible study or a talk, you're not funny. You're
No, I
funny
know.
like this.
I know, and yeah.
Yeah, Matt. There's no question. If I could
I'm
sit
not
under
that.
one Bible teacher for the rest of my life, I would want to sit under you. I really would. I think you're a great Bible teacher. And when we're in that setting, you are great at
Yes.
that. When we're in this setting, you're brilliantly funny.
Well, and it was kind of like that one guy that we met on the road somewhere who said, "Hey, how come he's not funny in person?" Remember that?
Oh, about Fields?
Oh
Or-
no, you said that first. You're like, "Hey, Matt's not that funny because he's not on the podcast right now," and he's like, "Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
that.
Matt's not that funny." I'm sitting in the back of the car. Well, you don't have any food for me to poke.
McGill's kind of. You kind of have to know McGill for
Yeah,
him to be
I'm
funny.
not really
he grows
funny.
on you.
Well, I think McGill
Yeah.
can be funny, though. I mean, as a little surprise, I actually uploaded Matt McGill sports instructional video onto YouTube this week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to link to it from the show.
I
So
know.
I think
the
I
swimming
think-
one too.
And it's the
so
swimming one, so it's
bad.
unreleased, never been out on DVD or VHS or whatever we used to do. This is just
Oh,
brand
gosh.
spanking new.
Just
and
reel to reel.
real to real. I think
Yeah.
people will find you very funny. I think you're brilliantly funny.
Yeah.
And you try very, very hard. And
Is
it
the
shows
swimming
up.
one
It's
when you're in a
funny.
Speedo and you come out on
Oh,
that?
gosh.
It's a
The
good one.
It
manatee.
was so.
Everyone will get to enjoy it.
It's
this
a good
week.
one. It's not your best.
No.
I would
But
say it's.
people haven't seen it before, so
Yeah.
it's new, and that
Yeah.
makes it the
Yeah.
best.
Isn't the last 30 seconds really the best, though?
It's so funny.
Is that the outtakes?
Let's not say anymore.
Uh-huh.
It'll
All right.
be on the links and
Watch the
all.
whole thing.
Dear
And
Doug,
all over the
is it
internet.
this person doesn't want his or her name read? Which I still felt guilty from last week.
Oh,
I thought
no,
about
you
that
didn't
all
even
day.
know that.
We
yeah.
could have edited that out too. Now that I think about
We
it.
ran through a whole email.
Well,
big
that
sense
person actually
situation,
wrote, and I have it in
and
here
then the
somewhere.
guy at the bottom said, "Oh, hey, please
At
don't
the
mention my
very
name."
bottom said, "Don't mention my name," and I'd already mentioned.
And we
it.
talked about it for like 10 minutes already,
Anyway,
Oh,
I got
guys.
a letter from that person. It's somewhere in the pile.
and everything was okay. Just
Yeah.
to summarize.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
Sorry about
thought
that.
it was kind of funny. I'll find it. Dear Doug, is it wrong or unhealthy for a youth pastor to work at a church he or she would never attend? I support my senior pastor, but when I sit back and examine our church, and I don't think I'd attend it if I wasn't on staff.
Sure.
Is this common for youth pastors? Is it a big sign that I'm in the wrong place? Or is it just something
Where's the
youth
van window?
pastors... What's that?
I said, "Where's the van window?" for
Or
you to
is it
sit on?
just something youth pastors and associate pastors have to learn to deal with? It's a good question.
That is a good question.
It's
and
a very,
I can
would
can
say
imagine
it's a very common question.
and
too.
I can see some people being very, very, very opinionated on this
Yeah.
question.
Okay, let's give some opinions. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say.
Okay,
the
start.
answer feels obvious.
Then you
to
start.
me.
Josh goes
I'll give
first.
my opinion. My opinion is that...
Oh, I want to hear Josh's opinion.
Okay, let's
first.
go to Josh's.
All right,
first.
my opinion is whatever Doug says. Ready?
Thank you, master of flops.
See, Jana? It's all right. That's how you do it.
We call you Vladi.
No, I would say, of course, you can minister at a church that you wouldn't necessarily go to. Absolutely, totally, of course.
That's excellent.
Because
Dude, look at
so
that. You
many
coming
people-
out strong on that.
Yeah,
So
of
many people
course,
find
that's
themselves
true.
in that situation. It's a yes.
You
Go to the next
can,
question.
but
What
why
can
would-
you?
But
You
why
can't.
would you go to that? I mean, why would you go to that church? If you're going to interview for a church, part of the interview process is,
You interviewing the church.
yeah,
Not just them
Absolutely.
interviewing
you know. So I want to, if I'm going to sit in the congregation, I want to. Would this be a place that I'd feel comfortable? Because you can do ministry anywhere, but if you've got family and
I agree.
No,
I think
I get it. But I'm just saying,
Well,
so
can
many
you?
people, especially early in youth ministry, end up at a church. They find themselves there. They are happy just to get hired, and they're gonna.
But there's
they're
a difference
just
between
excited.
can you? Yes, you can. Is it ideal and is it healthy and do you want to do that for the long term? Probably not.
And is this about calling? God has called you to that ministry. I mean, maybe you're there to help.
Yeah, what would you
direct
what
and
would you
guide.
rather do? I mean, this is going beyond the question, but would you rather, work at McDonald's and go to a church that you like?
would you rather?
Would you rather write it down
This
for a
could
book
be a book,
appraisal?
guys.
Or be able to
Resource.
do
Maybe.
ministry full time where you don't necessarily connect with worshiping there. I mean, you hands down, you have to be able to take care of your own faith, your
Absolutely.
own. Hands down, you can't serve at a place where you're not getting fed. I mean, if you're
Well,
dried out
I don't-
husk on the
So
inside,
you're assuming that our options are limited to those.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I am. I'm pushing it to the extreme. I'm pushing it to the extreme to make Josh's
Well,
case.
And it might depend on season of ministry. I mean, if you're trying to get some youth ministry experience and get some stuff on your resume or, just have some experience, that might be different than season of life where you have experience, you're taking your family
I
to
totally
church
agree with
there,
that.
Yeah.
7, 10, 12 years in, you've been in youth ministry a long time. You can almost pick. When you're early in ministry,
Yeah, unless you're a sucky
you
youth
don't
worker.
get to pick. I mean, you don't get to interview the church as much as you'd really like to. I'm telling you, there's a whole
Well-
bunch of people in this setting,
Yeah.
and the answer is
Yeah, I agree.
absolutely yes.
It is can you do, you're answering can you do. He or she writes,
Is
is
it
it
optimal?
wrong or unhealthy? Let's go to the big picture. Big picture
Great.
is when you're in a staff position and you're in a church, it's difficult to worship in the church that you work at.
Very
Yes.
Whether it is your style of worship or it's not your style of worship. Let's just be honest. Nobody talks about that. It is difficult because you're always thinking about,
Yeah.
why do you do that?
You know too much.
Yeah, you got,
Yeah.
you see a family that you forgot to call them. It's hard to worship where you work.
Totally.
So that's big picture. Now, if you wouldn't ever attend there, I just think that's got to be a part of the the
That's
interview.
weird, yeah, because you're endorsing a place that you would never ever attend. I mean, that is strange to me. And obviously you endorse it by working there. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's an integrity question for me.
Or maybe you're there and you feel that God has called you under that leadership to help guide and direct that church to help it
To
become.
be a change agent in that
Right.
culture. Yeah.
That's what Jana feels at Saddleback.
Yeah.
Jana
I
feels like
used those words just last week.
I can change this church, which I,
used to
appreciate.
think
Matt,
that-
Matt
I used to
gave
think
up.
that too.
Matt
She's
gave
also
up.
thought that about our marriage for a long time.
Oh.
You can't- You're stuck.
Whoa!
No, I'm just saying you're stuck.
Oh,
You're not
Wait a
gonna-
minute, wait a minute.
gracious!
You're like sharing stuff like I've shared with you something. Not true.
No, I'm just saying.
Well,
when
it's
people,
not only
no,
not
no,
true,
wait,
you
wait.
haven't said
wait,
that.
Let me hear this
That's
out.
right.
Hold on.
Let me hear this out.
Yes,
Go
you
ahead.
guys will
Okay.
figure it out. When you go into a marriage thinking you're going to go in and change it, you're not really going to.
Wait a minute, though. I'm not going to.
This isn't about Jana.
Okay.
Stop.
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 So now we're-
Stop. Stop.
So
Stop.
you're telling
Wait,
yourself
wait.
stop, right? Because you're the
Are
one
we
that
doing
said Jana.
a podcast on marriage now?
No, I'm just saying you are married to a church. Confident. And whatever else.
What's the body language for a
Something shiny. Something
foot
shiny.
and mouth?
I was comparing it to marriage. You are married to that church. You're not going to change your marriage. Who you marry, that's it. So if you're going into a church to change the church, is that really valid?
Well, okay. I'm going to give you a little grace here.
Whoa.
I'm going to speak to your question.
Whoa!
Thank
Oh
you.
God!
As well you should.
What was that?
It was a small rat.
Oh my gosh! Out of the corner of my eye, I thought that was a rat. I thought that was a rat. Something coming at me.
And it scared you a little bit?
Well, yeah, I was like, well, it was running right at me.
You know,
What
when I was
was it?
yes, that's great.
What was it?
Oh, it was this.
It was a rat.
It was
How
the
did you get
equivalent
that?
of this. There's another
Oh.
one on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Going back to your change of a church.
Yes.
I think that if there's potential to change.
Oh.
I mean, I think that sometimes some situations are just deadlocked and they're not going to change.
Absolutely.
So then I think you got to
Like
recognize.
any church with stained glass, you're screwed. Just kidding. I was trying to add.
And
little
just
humor.
as a further disclaimer, I'm not talking about Jana's marriage. I was talking about marriage in general.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah,
Hey,
you
let's
can
talk
never-
about
there's
the big
no
mistake last
transformation in
week
marriage.
that I made when I read this guy's email. I just found it. This is Chris New Hope and Agalala.
So you're saying his name again.
Agalala.
You're right.
How do you
Abrigala?
say this, Janet?
Don't say his name.
O-G-A-L-L-A-L-H.
Ottawalla.
No, there was no D in there.
O.G.
O-G.
Agawa-
Agalala.
Okay.
Agalala,
Where is that?
Nebraska.
Oh, figures.
Let me start off saying that I can't take the lame blame for not putting up at the top of the not to read my name at the bottom.
He can't take
Let
the
me
blame.
start off by saying I can take the lame blame for not putting up at the top to not read
Nebraska
the
English.
name.
Sorry, Nebraska.
I forgot the emails aren't previewed before they're read live. Maybe Josh could help out with that. Wait, that was the way it was supposed to be.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
That's
I love
good.
it. I love it when people who listen are
stuff like
so
that.
inside. I love that.
Yep. That's great.
Anyway, he wrote back, her parents knew and were all right with it. I do talk a lot with our volunteers. However, I was told to use the phrase, we shouldn't be alone or counsel a student of the opposite sex, which did not imply dating. But I thought my feedback again to Chris, one, an apology, two, I thought he handled it in a great way. And maybe now you add to that, don't counsel the opposite sex alone or put your tongue in their mouth or date them.
Yeah.
Those three things.
Seems good.
Seems fair.
Youth ministry wisdom.
All right, Janet, we're going to do a little game. I want you to pick between 1 and 10.
Oh.
1 and
Here
10.
we go.
Right now?
Yep.
8.
11.
8. Jedediah Armstrong, Niagara Christian Life Assembly. And he put Pentecostal in parentheses in case we wouldn't know Life Assembly was Pentecostal.
Do you know I just learned the difference between Pentecostal and charismatic?
Did you? Which
What is the difference?
I think Pentecostal emphasizes tongues more, but I don't remember. Is that right?
No.
It's not?
Niagara Christian Life Assembly
Is that
in
wrong?
Niagara Falls, Canada.
Well, I
He-
want to know now. You
Hang on
can't
a
say
sec.
that
We'll
real
talk
quick?
He's
after.
sick enough.
I attended the youth ministry conference in India. I have to say it was the greatest learning experience that I've had so far in
India?
youth ministry. Just yesterday I watched episode 46. I'm hooked. I've watched 5 more, blah, blah, blah.
Diva
He's
diva.
on 51.
I'm at a small church, volunteer.
Yeah, boy.
Anyway, here's the deal. I was just going to say, kind of a welcome to the podcast, a Jana thing, and Jedediah Armstrong, because Jana picked
Pentecostal.
8. He can go to the website and download 8 free items.
Wow.
Andy?
I
Jana,
hooked
you're
you
so
up.
generous.
I hooked you
Wow.
up, Yep.
Yeah, what if you'd have picked 1?
Oh,
8.
yeah. 8 is
8.
nice.
That's nice. All right. So, Andy,
So
8.
he has to listen to the show. 'cause
He has
we're
to
not just
listen to the
gonna-
show, yeah. And then
Great.
he's got to send an email to Andy.
Okay. Andy at simpleyouthministry.com.
You have all these people saying they're Jedediah. All right,
Hey,
Andy, here's the
where's
guy's
my
here's the
resources?
guy's deal.
That's funny. Not being Pentecostal or charismatic, I just have always used those terms interchangeably, which is about once a year I'll use those terms.
Yeah. I think you're pretty
That's-
safe
am I
using
weird?
them interchangeably.
I would say so, too.
Oh, so you're saying that there's
I would say they're the same.
would say that, and you would say they're the same.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I would say that there's probably, if I was in the charismatic movement, there might be, you know, like you
nuance.
have Orthodox and Neo-Orthodox. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something like charismatic.
Oh,
and-
so maybe only those guys in the
don't
movement
know.
would use them differently.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to a guy who grew up like in Vineyard, which is charismatic, not
Are you sure?
Or Pentecostal.
not Pentecostal,
Yeah.
and he would use those differently.
Yeah.
Not
And we may
Pentecostal.
right now, we may be displaying unbelievable
Yeah.
ignorance.
Oh, I don't
Wow.
care. I'm dumb all the time. So it
Well,
doesn't bother me.
here's a correction of something that was
Another
done
rat.
last week, Matt. Joe Thompson, Fairmont Christian Church. Just a correction: if Jake is at spring training in Arizona, he's at the Cactus League.
Oh,
What did I
was
say,
it
Peach
grapefruit
League?
or something?
Grapefruit.
Yeah.
Grapefruit League is in
I
Florida.
thought you corrected me with
I did,
cactus.
but I think I just didn't want to rub it in.
Good to know.
What? I just know what the Dodgers are in.
Last place.
Oh,
wow.
That
Starts
hurts
so
a
young.
little bit.
Hey, Gary
Oh.
Early, First Baptist Church Mod,
They're going to
Texas.
take the West this year, right, Nadeem?
Hey, Sports Illustrated has the Angels beating the Dodgers in the World Series.
Are you serious?
How great would that be?
Wow.
That would be awesome.
And all
Even
of
if they lost,
California.
that
Yeah,
would be
even
awesome.
if the Dodgers beat the Angels, it would be great. Just to have an Angels-Dodgers World Series would be
That
wonderful.
would be so
That would be
sweet.
fun.
Yeah.
You think the
Even
rest of the
for-
country would care as much as
Not
we
this-
do?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
No.
I think everybody cares about California.
Like,
No.
that's what everybody in California
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All right, yeah. This guy,
I'm dumb,
here's
not
a
that
question
dumb.
that this is to all of our listeners. We need a little help on this. Basically, Gary Early was saying he lives in a small community. A bunch of the youth workers got together, and they were just talking about how apathetic their kids are. And he said, is this a Texas or an Arkansas thing, or is it everywhere?
It's a human thing.
But I thought, it'd be interesting to know. We always talk, and we get a lot of questions about my kids are so apathetic. I'd love to have some feedback or how we could figure this out with a poll or what percentage? I mean, everybody's got apathetic kids, but is there a percentage that would be then helpful for youth workers to go, oh, okay.
I'm about in that area
Yeah,
too.
but don't you think youth groups are different? I mean, people
Yeah, of
focus
course they
on
are.
different things and attract different people, and some people are more outreach oriented, and some people are more discipleship oriented. So
Well, there's always going to be exceptions. I mean, in this
Yeah.
community, there might be a youth ministry that's totally on fire. It's got different resources, it's got new leadership,
But-
something
Yeah.
like
But
that.
in a poll, the kind of the average,
The medium will come out.
And
Well,
should
let's
we
do it.
say
can put
should
a
we
poll.
say apathetic in regards to life in general, or apathetic in not serving in a church? Like, what if you have what if you reach a bunch of band kids that are super excited about their music in their garage, where they play their music, but they're not excited about Jesus and
Okay,
doing
I'm
ministry?
I'm guessing that this is about following Christ.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You are right. I'm
Let
just
me,
saying.
Can I
let's-
take that and we'll put a poll on the episode 47 page? There will be a poll and you'll
Don't
vote.
you think that's a
Vote yes.
characteristic of teenagers, though, is apathy? I
Well, and see,
I think it's
that's
characteristic of every person
mean,
I
well,
meet.
for sure. But, I mean, I think every person you meet, except
Everyone
for you,
in the world.
No,
You're not apathetic at all, though.
Right.
to anything.
No.
Ever.
To working out.
go ahead. Jenna.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just think that's a characteristic of teenagers. I think parents describe their teenagers as that. I think that's kind of the point of youth ministry in some way, is that we get kids excited about their faith.
Yeah. Well, it was because of that I was thinking, we get asked that a lot, and it would be nice
Yeah.
for youth workers to go to a source and go, okay, I'm not alone. Okay, I do have, even if 25% weren't,
Yeah.
then instead of always feeling defeated that my whole youth group is apathetic, let's change perspective and go, no,
Yeah.
we got 25%
Well,
that.
let's add a poll question every week to the show, and then People can.
How about
Because it's
Germany,
really
Zorn?
important.
Apathetic in Germany? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really important to take a poll to see if what Jesus taught about the wide and the narrow road, if that's true or not. Just kidding. Take the poll. Poll's going to be great.
Hey, the last Effingham
apathetic.
comment. This is from Tim Bush, First Church of God in Effingham, Illinois.
Another one.
Well, he just said
Same guy?
The comments you made about Effingham were very funny. My wife watched your podcast with me. We were laughing hysterically. We are both from the South, and it seemed weird to move to a town called Effingham. To top it all off,
Not weird at all.
the
Oh,
high school
gosh.
mascot is a flaming heart.
No.
I don't know how
way.
that tops it off.
I don't know, but it's a pray
I
for
think
us.
it's funny.
The burning hearts.
A flaming heart.
A flaming
like
heart
a heart
from Effingham?
with flames.
Right,
There's
a burning
humor in
heart.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the Effingham burning flames? I mean, what is that?
That's what he's saying. What is this?
Oh,
Pretty funny.
Why is this the mascot of
it's
a high
funny.
school?
All right, let me just tell you what we got.
That's
we
so
got
funny.
a bunch of stuff from.
2 minutes left.
I thought
Yeah.
there was a connection between Hart and Effingham, other than weird.
Other than completely awkward
Hey,
mascot.
oh, why am I looking
Yeah.
at you? I'm looking at you, Germany, and we got a guy here, Dave from
Nebraska.
Central Coast Evangelical Church, Arena, New South Wales. Arena? How do you say that, Jana? You're from Australia, kinda. You married Australia. Australia,
And
Southern,
New South
about
Wales
an
is
hour
right
from
there in
about an
Australia.
hour
Isn't
from
Australia
Sydney.
part of the
I don't
EU?
know. What are you asking me? How to
No.
say this?
I don't know. Just saying. There's our international
Can
thing.
you
We
give a
got-
shout out?
Here's a. Let me
he
just.
Pentecostal?
Oh, I wanted to get to Kevin Massey's question. We got
We
a
are
question
running out of
about
time. Hurry.
Jesus for crowd students. We've got a question
week.
from evaluating your two death questions.
Oh,
How to keep yourself physically and
That will come
another.
strong
Oh,
on
we
those.
just single.
Oh,
How do you stay
yeah.
balanced when you're single?
oh, so many
What,
things.
you're looking at me like
What?
I was single for a
Death
really long
questions.
time.
Jana was single forever, and
I
finally.
didn't look at Jen. I was
You
looking
did.
at the camera.
You did.
That's a good note to end
You
on.
were the one who was crying when you were single.
Oh,
That's why.
goodness.
Then you try to change your marriage.
Jana, you have a lot to offer. You have a lot to offer. Chris Wesley, thank you for the marathon tips. I still need more specifics on how to eat before I run. All right.
You
What
have
else?
carbs the night before, dude.
No, before I ran. I ran at 7:30 on Saturday for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I had a banana before I ran.
You need
I
two
was
bananas
eating my
for
own
cramps.
esophagus at mile
Yeah,
10.
you need to have some pasta.
Yeah, you just have one of those little bars in your pocket. You eat
Power
while you
bar.
run.
Yeah, they do make those little marathon snacks, don't they, Andy?
Yeah.
Don't ask
Dog
Andy as if
biscuits.
he knows what the marathon snack
All right,
is.
we're done. We're done.
Goodbye.
Jana, great to have you.
Thank you,
Wait,
thank you.
failure. Close this
Failure.
with failure.
I would say my biggest failure
Or just
was
one of
in
them.
my early days of ministry.
Oh, I
I came
can't
from
wait for this.
kind of a corporate setting, so I think I was just
Wait a minute. She's going to actually kind of say sorry here.
not to you.
Another first. Here we go.
No, I would say that I was. My personality is really assertive, and I probably was more aggressive than assertive. And
Combative, even?
no,
She's
I
the
don't know.
earlier.
Well,
She got over that by the time you were around, buddy.
Yeah.
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 So you're
We got
complaining.
30
So what do you
seconds
say?
left.
Speculating. I'm
What do you
just
say?
speculating on how
Let's
bad it
next
was back
week.
then.
Next time we're together. When Janice here, let's unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah, we
I want to
can.
hear about your shirt experiment that failed.
Okay.
It didn't
And-
fail,
Oh, it
did it?
didn't fail.
I think, yeah, it did.
Oh,
did
okay. I
really
just
well.
never heard
He was
about it.
gathering data. It wasn't a success.
He did a
failure.
poll.
It was
All
an-
right.
That's funny.
Everybody look to the camera.
Humor.
Funny. Wisdom and humor.
Humor.
Come on. That was strong.